Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Sorry for the kind of rushed introduction. Just sorting out a couple of things, and welcome to Las Vegas. Fabulous Las Vegas, as it says on the sign. If I remember, that's how it goes. And it seems we've already lost Senna, which is a good start. Yeah, welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, and oh, I didn't do it right. Hold on. I do apologise, but that's my fault for not checking. I was in spectator mode. We'll get you guys straight back to the action in a few moments. Hopefully we've not missed much. It'll just be people doing their... Well, they'll take a few minutes to put setups and obviously leave the pit lane, so I don't think we're going to miss too much. And we can see it's a slightly damp qualifying session. At the moment, oh, 3 people on track at the moment. So I think I've... So just ignore the second McLaren in 14th place at the moment. That is obviously where I made the little cock up of not going into spectator mode. Yeah, because the track's a little damp, you can see it is easy life on some intermediate tyres. It's similar to how the real Grand Prix went in terms of qualifying. Let us look down. So let's actually go on board with the Aston Martin for the time being. Let's take a look. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Actually, we'll go on board with someone who's near the start of the lap, ideally. So we'll do last week's winner, Blunt Blade, coming onto the little straight here. Leads onto the start, the little kink in the straight here, and then onto the start finish straight into turn 1. Looking pretty tidy there into... I think it's turn 2, or is a little like extra... I don't know. The short little, well, would be DRS straight in the dry. Running like towards the severe section, and it's a little bit deep. Manages to recover it along this little left-hander. Kind of tightens up here, ready for the chicane with the sphere on the outside there. Back over to the right for a kind of mini hairpin in a way. And then we're going to come through this little sweeping section down the side of the Venetian Hotel. And then into this like 90 degrees-ish kind of corner. And now we're onto the strip. We're going to pass a load of the iconic hotels like the Hard Rock and the Harrows and Caesar's Palace as it comes into view. You see Kessler sets the fastest lap of the session so far. As we keep continuing down the strip, we're going to get on the brakes now. A little mini chicane as we get back onto that kind of penultimate straight. Past Planet Hollywood. Under the two little bridges. Through the little left down onto the start finish. And Blunt Blade now goes fastest. Obviously Kessler's running these... that's the wrong button. Kessler's running the special edition, I believe it's from Miami? The Kick-Sauber livery there. Let's take a look at his teammate, Jax Daniels, who looks like is running the standard Kick-Sauber livery. As we see, Kessler gets out of the way on the strip there to not interfere with his teammate's lap. I think it's just for tonight, the teammates, but who knows? As Jax Daniels comes towards the... oh, it's a bit of a slide, but he manages to save it. Is he going to keep committed? That's the wrong one again. He's going to stick with it, and he goes second. 6/10 slower than another new racer tonight, Meadows. As there's a yellow flag in the little sphere chicane. I don't know who that was for, or if it was just people getting out of each other's way. Now, let's have a look at Senna, who's just gone past Jax Daniels on the track there. Let's go on board with the Williams, who is currently the... get it up. Where are we? Standings. He's currently the championship leader by 22 points from Frosty, who is currently 4th in this session. And then Jax Daniels a little bit further behind him, 52 points behind Senna, as he jumps over the curb onto the strip. Now, I'm going to have a quick rundown of the points while everyone's doing their first couple laps. Also, I've mentioned the top 3 there, of Senna, Frosty and Jax Daniels. Dan Morris is a little bit further behind them, 77 points behind Senna in 4th. However, he has last week's race winner, Blunt Blade, not far behind in 5th place, 80 points behind Senna. Now we're going to look into these kind of teams first, before I get that far. Sauber drop a bit from the championship lead. Williams takes over, 17 points ahead of Haas, and then Sauber and Mercedes joint 3rd, 23 points behind Williams. Look into Pro Class. Senna is currently 19 points ahead of Frosty and 50 ahead of Jax Daniels. Those are the top 3 in Pro. And it's getting a little bit tasty for 4th place. It's like the best of the rest in a way. Lord Coleman in 4th, and then we've got DRS Syme 2 points behind in 5th, and then a point behind Syme in the Pro standings is Blunt Blade, who gained 2 places from last week's race win. In Pro-Am, Dan Morris stayed in the lead ahead of Santra Finley, who moves up to 2nd, 11 points behind. And then not far behind him is Michael JFF in 3rd, 18 points behind Dan Morris. Dan Morris not racing tonight, so there's an opportunity for them two to both gain in Pro-Am. So now we've got that out of the way, let's... There's a yellow flag in the first... It was by pit exit, sorry. Let's go on board with Kessler here as they come into the first corner. Let's have a little external look at that special edition Kicksauber livery. It's very interesting with all the paint kind of splashes, but he has a little slide on the entry. Recovers it. Still gets a purple first sector according to the game. Obviously that was before they lost the rear. And on to the... they've set another purple sector. Oh, I've just gone just too late. So obviously they didn't lose that much, or I was going to say could it be a fresh tyre advantage, but no, it's 4 lap old Inters. Could seem to be 5 by the time they finish this lap. Into the little kind of chicaney section just off the strip. Right up to the wall. Flat out through this little kink, and yep, 41.910. Kessler goes to the top. DRS Smugger just slots in behind with a 41.963. Anyone else seem to be on a flyer? Watch. Well, Meadows is on an outlap here. Let's keep an eye on Senna. Comes onto the... Now you can look, we can kind of see on the onboard there all the iconic hotels of Las Vegas that we pass on this circuit. No, we've got the likes of Paris, Caesar's Palace obviously, Cosmopolitan, just to name a couple. It's an interesting circuit to say the least, because it's and Senna goes a second quicker than anybody else with a 40.812. That man just showing his dominance at the top. Well, in this league at the moment, obviously I mentioned has a fairly decent advantage in the overall championships, but also in is split as well. There's Jack Daniels, getting very close with a 40.868. There don't seem to be much sign of, well, at least for Q1, any sort of drying out of the circuit. As we see, look at as Meadows now improves to a 40.548. So we're starting to see the times drop a bit. Obviously that'll be as the drivers get better feel for the circuit, but also, well, maybe not yet, but probably there's a little bit of drying in the circuit. Obviously it won't be fully a dry line, but there's possibly, you know, a line that's a bit more ideal than as Senna pits. Looks like it'll be the end of his Q1 there. Obviously no knockout. Well, there will be for my AI, which is my fault. I do apologise. if I do need to jump into the session to retire the AI car, I will do that. I will apologise if you miss any sort of action because of it, but as we're starting to see some of the top drivers come into the pits now, obviously if there's no knockout, because obviously there'll only be positions 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th eliminated if it was a full grid. With well, 15 actual drivers on the grid, there shouldn't be any need for anyone to set an improvement time. We'll get rid of the lap data at the top there. Does anyone seem to be on a lap at the moment? Obviously, because you can't hear another voice with me tonight, I am riding solo, and so this will be a fun race to cover solo. Obviously, if you watched, well, I suppose the real life race, it wasn't as entertaining as previous years, but it still looked like a decent race. The top four are trying to do another lap on brand new tyres, which, unless the rest of the session is looking to go dry, that is very, very risky. Now let's take a look at Frosty, who seems to be struggling a bit here in the wet. No, P2 in the drive, oh, and he runs a bit wide into the wall there. Does there seem to be any damage to the horse? No. So it looks like they'll be continuing. I'm going to abort this lap. Let's see. Does anyone seem to be on a... Easy Life has jumped up to 11th. And let's have a look at what Central Finley's up to. Then we may jump to any of the top 4 drivers who have come back out onto circuit. There's Finley now into the kind of final couple of real corners on the circuit. Smug get up to second with a 40.7. That's really good for the Ferrari driver. And it looks like Finley's going to abandon going into the pit lane. So we shall go on board with, there's a yellow flag. That's probably going to be Easy Life getting out of the way. So they're going to have a look at Jax Daniels through the little left-hander there onto the very long strip straight. There's a purple sector in the middle. Senna into the 39s with a 39.8. That is really good from the Williams. There's still a yellow flag. I think that's still going to be Easy Life trying to get out the way of others. Let's keep an eye on the Jax Daniels time though. Obviously, it was shown as a overall best before Senna set his time. Through the final left-hander. Ooh, you cannot separate these two. The 39.880, just missing out by a couple of hundredths. Who else was onto a lap? We'll look at Meadows. I don't know what their sectors were looking like, but we shall have a look at the, well, previous provisional pole sitter. Through the final corner, and it's a 39.655. Meadows seems to have, just when we think Senna and Jack Daniels seem to be miles ahead of everyone else, Meadows has just come in and absolutely, as we see a V-car with no front end. So we're just waiting on Easy Life to finish the lap. Are they coming into the pit lane? Yes, they will. So, as you can see there, Q1, very interesting. And it seems to be very close throughout the field there. Especially between Kessler and Finley, only separated by 7 thousandths. It seems to be Blunt Blade was the V-car without a front end then. So, after Q1 we do have Meadows, Senna, Jack Daniels, Smugit, Frosty, Coleman, Newt, Kessler, Finley, Blunt Blade in the top 10. And then we got King Kong, Tainsy, Michael GFF, Mr. Pickle, and Easy Life. Oh, I forgot we do short qualify. I thought we were going to go for the full thing then. My apologies, my head's been all over the place today. So, into the race now, hopefully. I don't need to do anything now. It looks like we're going to have a dry track at the moment. I can't see much, but I can see that the pit lane looks very dry. I can also see the very iconic MGM Grand Hotel. So we're going to play everyone's favourite game of watching the pit lane until something happens. And this would be probably the best time for me to have my co-commentator Six Pompano, who unfortunately is not with us tonight. And now I've got to try and fill the air on my own, which is great because I'm bad enough at thinking things to talk about anyway. Having to do when there's no one to bounce off of, that is, something. So just a reminder of the format tonight, because I didn't have a chance to say it. It is just a standard Grand Prix tonight. It'll be a 50% race, and obviously with the short qualifying, which I forgot we were doing. I just need to look. So I may need to jump into the field and retire. So it seems like what I'll try and do is, as long as the AI is not interfering with anyone, I think what I'm going to try to do is on the strip, or maybe start at the start of the strip, so it's got time to do the old taking control thing. I'm going to try and aim to take control of of my AI when we get onto the strip, and then hopefully I can drive it into the pit lane and retire without causing any further issues. So we're just waiting for the field to do their thing. So I'm going to look at the tyres real quick. It seems to be mostly mediums for everyone. A handful of on the hards. We're looking at Finley, Blunt Blade, and Easy Life. Let's take a look into Twitch chat for the time being. Right, I don't know what's happened there. Why? My AI is currently ahead of Easy Life there. I think he's... Anyway, there, you can look at the strategies. They'll be up very quickly. A 1-stop or a 2-stop, depending on how good your management is. I don't know, knowing F125 where I'd lean more towards a 2-stop, but who knows. Now, we've got a lot of kind of question marks. Obviously, a few new drivers in the field tonight. Or either new or kind of drivers that we don't really see often. So, hopefully, a very close race as usual. See everyone weaving down the strip here. Let's get detail up there. Got the track map. Well, it seems the AI going at looks like it's going at a pace where it shouldn't affect anyone, especially on the formation here, but excuse me. Who knows? So we're gonna see the last few. Oh, here comes my AI, slowly making its way towards the grid. And there we go. It's lined up. Let's go back to the front. Here we go, the lights are coming on. And they're out, and here we go in Vegas. It looks like Meadows has got the early advantage, but Senna will have the inside line. And Senna takes the lead into through turn 1. And we see a few people moving about off the start there. So let's take a bit of a look into the field. As we see a bit of a dive from Lord Coleman, he's into the wall. That was really unfortunate for the Alpine driver, but it looks like they're just going in too hot. Jack Downs goes a bit deep into the sphere chicane. But looks like he's out of position. Now I need to remind myself to take control of my AI in a matter of moments. So you're going to miss any action at the front for the time being. Hopefully I can jump in just before they get to the DRS zone. As we come down the strip for the first time of, well, the first of 25 times. Looks like Senna's pulling ahead as usual with his, well, already 7/10s ahead of Meadows. And it looks like Smuggate's getting quite close to the back. Oh, I need to jump in, remembered. I can't take control of what the... Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Oh well. Unless, oh, I don't know, I'm not risking losing any footage for you guys, so I'm just gonna have to tell the boys to try and avoid it if they can. Anyway, it seems Meadows has gained on Senna in the first 2 sectors of this lap. And here we go into the long DRS straight here for the first time. They will have the benefit of the DRS flap on the back of the cars. As we see, yellow flag in sector 2, it looks like it's Michael who's gone round. And Meadows has taken the lead while we went to have a look at that. And it seems like Jack Downs is lining up attack on Senna here. They're side by side through the final corner. Jack Daniels goes round the outside. He's looking to take the lead. He's done. Oh my god, he's done. And the 3 wide going into turn 2 and 3. They're still side by side. It's going to be Meadows, I think, has got the advantage. Senna's going to have DRS down this straight. As Smugate now takes 3rd. Nope, nope, they're side by side, but it looks like Smuggate's managed to complete the move. Never mind, they're still going at it for 3rd place. As Jack Downs goes up the inside of the sphere chicane. It's not an ideal place to make the move because of the nature of the corner, but and they're still going, well, they're still close to each other, going through this little like left-right, or right-left even, through the side of the Venetian Hotel. Onto the strip now. It seems Jack Downs is just keeping in touch with the leaders as Meadows is looking to make another move down the strip. He's ahead of Senna, and Senna's just going to dip behind to try and keep some... Oh, as Jack Downs gets quite close to the rear of Senna through the little... turn off the strip. I'm trying to think of what landmarks around that corner to call the corner. As they're still going at it for 3rd. As Frosty's now wanting to get involved. Frosty's going to have... He's passed Smugate round the outside, it looks like, for turn 1. What an opening first 3 laps it's been. Let's go up to Senna. We're going to have it, well, riding on board a bit here through the sphere game. And we're going to go round the little hairpin, short straight, before we get to the little sweepers before the strip. It seems like they've broken Jack Daniels. He's out of the DRS possibly here. We're going to keep an eye on that little green dot on the bottom of the screen. I think Jack Daniels has just kept himself safe with... So he will have DRS, yep, you can see the flap open there. But no move for the lead this time. Meadows seems to have that strip straight absolutely nailed. Senna gets a good exit towards the start finish line here. Right, not close enough to make a move into turn 1. But we will be looking for that little straight between turn 2, well, turn 2 or 3, whatever it's called, and the sphere section. As Meadows looks like they've made a mistake or just dipped to the inside very, very early. Senna will retake the lead as they come out to the end of sector 1. This little 90 degrees right-handers. Jack Daniels spins and loses a front wing end plate at the bottom of the screen there. So we can see, oh, I was very unlucky for this Kick Sauber driver. He's dropped to 7th for the time being, but he's probably going to lose a bit more with that broken end plate. But look what that's done for Smug Git. He's now outside of that DRS range, which will leave him exposed to Al Newton, the Red Bull. He might just about be safe, Smug Git. Maybe not now. I don't know, he's fluctuating around that 1 second range. But this top 3, there's almost nothing to separate them as Meadows gets the DRS, moves to the outside. But it looks like, nope, Senna has not managed to make a kind of return pass. As we have now, by the time we've hit the line, we'll have finished a 5th of the race as King Kong gets the first time penalty of the race. A 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. I feel my voice is, I want to say going, but it's... I'm trying to do my best here. I'll try and move my mic a bit closer just so you guys can hear me a bit more clearly. And just looking at the hard tyre run, as I mentioned earlier, Blunt Blade seems to be the best of them at the moment. And there's still almost nothing to separate this top 3. They're all like they're all within half a second of each other, and that's the kind of racing we like to see. And it's kind of been the racing we've seen a bit from Senna and Frosty throughout the majority of the season so far. Meadows joining us tonight has kind of shaken things up a little. And it looks like the move may be done before the DRS. I have no idea what's happened there. It seems like Meadows has either voluntarily given up the position or... Smuggy was a bit wide into the little 90-degree corner off the strip. I have no idea what happened there with Meadows. It looked like he gave up the move, gave up the position before they got to the DRS zone, but again, that could just be Senna having a good exit. But here we go. Through... Well, I need to get the corner names up on my phone here in a minute, because I need to figure out, is that turn 2 or turn 3? I know how funny the Americans can be. As we can see, Frosty go to the lead now. It's getting very close. As Frosty goes a bit deep into the corner at the end there. As they go around this little sweeping left-hander, they're still side by side. It's not the ideal view of the track action we want to be seeing. They're still side by side as they pass the sphere. And it looks like Senna concedes as they go into the little hairpin here. And And it looks like Meadows is looking to take advantage of these opportunities here. Onto the out of turn 12 onto the strip here. These guys have got to be careful because Al Newt could be here soon. And I've noticed in the middle of all that melee, DRS Smugget has got onto the hards very, very early. And Senna got very, very close to the wall there. I don't know if he touched or if that was just a connection thing. As Meadows looks around the outside into turn 1 and 2. Senna manages to cover it off as they go into 3 and 4. Coleman into the pits. It looks like that'll be for a hard tyre, I assume. As they come through the DRS section, it looks like Senna stays ahead for the time being. Through the long turn 6 into 7 and 8 and 9. The little sphere section here. I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of it when the track first came out. Senna was a bit slidey coming through turn 9. I absolutely loved that sphere section. It can be very rewarding if you get it right and absolute ballic if you're following someone. As Frosty seems to have broken the DRS. Now, that could be very smart and very crucial at a track like this. Senna's still having to deal with the threat of Meadows in the Mercedes, but he may have to deal with the Red Bull soon as well if these can get himself close enough. As Meadows up into second once again. Blunt Blade now up to 5th place as let's take a look. It seems Jack Daniels is persevering despite the damage. As we see Senna into the pits, that's quite early. So I think Senna might be looking at a 2-stopper here. Let's go back to the lead in battle. As a yellow flag. Who's this? I don't know if that was Michael that's had an issue. I don't know there, but anyway, let's keep looking through the field. Senna's dropped to 11th after his pit stop. Let's go back to the leading group. It's still Frosty and Meadows going at it for the lead. And if we're going off the trend of everyone pitting, I don't think these will have much longer on the medium tyres. Scraping the wall a little bit, that's risky, I guess. As they come onto the strip, it looks like Meadows will have DRS when they get to the activation line, which is here. And this is very unrealistic because they are allowing people to watch the race from the bridge. But despite being distracted by that, Meadows couldn't make the pass and is going to make a pit stop on lap 9 here. Seems like Newt will be doing the same in the background there. Is Jack Daniels looking to do the same? Yes. Where's Blunt Blade? Blunt Blade has stayed out. As Kessler and Finley go they were side by side, but they kind of settled in around each other. Into turn 1 and 2. Let's keep an eye on this because it looks like it's one of our closest battles on circuit. As King Kong's also getting involved a bit if these two do come to blows. They're side by side, almost wheel banging in a way. As they come down Covalt Lane, Finley will have the advantage as Kessler has a very aggressive dive into the wall. He kind of forces Finley and King Kong to avoid them a bit. And it seems like all they got away with was a broken end plate. That could have been much more severe and potentially a DNF. As we see Smug goes round in the background. They've managed to stay in the race. But I'd assume there's a bit of wing damage, maybe? Or they just got... yeah, there's a missing end plate, but... fairly safe despite that. As we see Frosty onto the kind of little... yep, diving towards the pit lane entry. So we're going to see... well... we're going to see that leading group possibly reunited in a moment. And now... taking the on circuit lead will be Blunt Blade, but obviously that'll be because he hasn't made a pit stop yet. But who knows, that could turn into the actual race win if, you know, something like last week happened. Finley up to second has also benefited, but obviously will need a pit stop soon. And it seems like Meadows has gained the most out of our kind of leading group. They were the second to pit, but they seem to have taken the provisional lead. Obviously this will be before everyone makes a pit stop off the hards. As it looks like Meadows is trying to make a pass through the little sweepers, but he's possibly trying to see if he can play some DRS games. Senna looks up the inside, does not get a move, but will lost time by going over the curb. But maybe safe because they will have some DRS off. Well, it'll be a four-person DRS train here. As it looks like... whoa! Frosty's locked up! I didn't see what happened because we focused on Meadows, but it looks like... well, Frosty locked up, but it looks like they got away with it without hitting anyone or going deep into the corner. I take it out there've just been some cold tyres, even though they've had nearly a lap to warm up by that point. Let's see now. We've already got, well, we've already passed one of the hard starters, but there is also one hard starter we need to get past. They've already gained, like, they're already down to nearly 3.5 seconds behind Blunt Blade, so clearly the fresher hard tyre is the more advantageous tyre for the time being. Now let's have a look. In the middle of all this chaos, Easy Life is up to 7th, which will be a really good result for the Aston Martin driver if this stays as it is. But again, it seems like that's just more from not pitting when everyone else has. As we can see, no real major moves for the kind of lead, but well, provisional lead battle. We're still waiting to see what Blunt Blade is going to do. Blunt Blade staying out for the time being. Obviously trying to make maybe the medium stint length shorter than everyone else's. As Senna goes a bit wide through 3 and 4, opens up the door for Frosty to just slide on through and not have to worry about making a move down the straight. And just as I mentioned Easy Life being in a good position, they dropped to 14th after a pit stop. And now we're on the back of Blunt Blade. Past the Venetian. Looks like this, well, probably going to be a very simple move for Meadows, but maybe we'll see Frosty. I don't know if Senna will make it through, but Frosty's got a really good run here. They using Blunt Blade to get a bit of extra slipstream. Are they looking to make the leading move here? No, but they managed to get. But they're going to lose time by kind of battling with Blunt Blade. As Senna also gets through, that'll probably be from Blunt Blade kind of to go a bit wider through the final couple of proper corners. So now, what was provisional leading battle is now the actual leading battle once again. As we can see, Frosty was having a little look at Meadows, but nothing comes of it. As we are, well, more than past race with half race distance now. We've seen the first, well, we've seen 2 of the 3 hard tyre starters already make a pit stop onto medium tyres. Now it'll be interesting here because the drivers who started on the medium had to go to hard. Most of them have been on these tyres for about 5 or 6 laps now. As we see Frosty making the move for the lead on the strip. That was a pretty tidy move, if I say so myself. And then, seems like Senna had a little good run through the final little chicane bit. Now, one thing these drivers may need to be careful of, and I do apologise to any of these leading drivers if it does ruin their race. There is that obviously AI McLaren, which I'll hold my hands up. I maybe should have been a bit more vigilant before everyone readied up. However, being an AI, you'd think they've got ghosting and weather on, so hopefully it should not become an issue. Just in terms of penalties real quick, we'll have a quick look. King Kong still the only driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty so far. Although to be fair, it's pretty difficult to pick up a penalty at Las Vegas, seeing that if you do pass over track limits, you're usually going face to face with a wall. Now, I'm going to maybe take a minute away from this leading battle to take a look at maybe Kessler and their battle with Sainsy and Finley. Now, keep an eye on that leading battle just in case it does maybe heat up again. This is a good showing from the Kick Sauber here, who's, as far as I'm aware, is in their first race with the DRS League. Sainsy defending from Finley in the background there. Finley goes round the outside, makes it the inside, and then, oh, into the wall, but looks like there's no damage. As Blunt Blade has made a pit stop, also Coleman made another pit stop, so I think Coleman's going to do the 2-stop. Might be risky from this far out because there's still another 10 laps to go. Sainsy onto the soft tyre, which I don't know what the Red Bull driver's thinking there, but it'll either be a stroke of genius or who knows. Anyway, back to the leading battle here. I really need to figure out a way to stop bots getting into the chat. I'm not on about you. I don't really fancy cheap viewers on whatever flipping website that is. Anyway, ignoring that, you're going to see Meadows has got the DRS. I don't think they've got enough room. Nope, they haven't got the time, well, or overlap to make a move at the end of the straight. But these guys have, well, apart from that brief time when they were separated by the pit stops they made, these guys, these three here have been inseparable. I don't think I've seen any of them drop outside of DRS from each other. Now, speaking of DRS, if that AI, if they catch that AI, oh, there's a bit of no contact, but there's a bit of a stack up into turn 5. There's Senna. Oh my god! Look at this. Look at the shapes that Williams were pulling. It looks like I've had a better run through the turn 9 hairpin than Meadows, but there is not an ideal overtaking opportunity until we get onto the strip. And it looks like the McLaren AI is just going to survive another lap longer. But it seems like none of these are in a position where a move can be made at the moment. Oh, never mind. Meadows looks around the outside, and it looks like as Frosty holds the inside. But the way the corner is laid out, it seems like Meadows has had the advantage. Senna also getting the ahead of Frosty in the process. As Meadows goes a bit wide through 1 and 2, but Senna has a tighter line through 3 and 4. We'll have DRS on Meadows here, but so will Frosty. But it doesn't seem like there's a move to be made here. Now we've got to be careful. We can see that McLaren AI. It may. I need to be careful. And I've just been yapping to the entire lobby again, which is great. I don't know why Xbox Party do that. Yeah, we've got to be careful because this AI could give DRS to Meadows here. It has ghosted, which is... But I think Meadows is probably trying to stay behind it as long as he can, so he... But Senna's using the AI to his advantage and takes the lead. There's Frosty. What's happened to Frosty? It seems Frosty's gone deep into the final set of corners there. As Smug gets right stuck in the battle for, looks like 6th place. I'll keep an eye on that in a minute because this battle seems to have stretched apart. I don't know why. If it's the AI getting involved, I do apologise. You know, it's out of my control. You know, you guys have seen at the start of the stream where, or at least the start of the race, where I tried to take control but was unable to. I was wondering now we're... No, still can't take control. Oh well. So actually, let's have a little look at this battle for 6th real quick. Oh my, there's 4 cars involved here. Well, there was, but it seems Smug gets dropped off the back of the battle. But it seems Senna, since he's broken the DRS on Meadows, it seems that Meadows, well, they're gaining marginally, but then this may be another Senna win here, which Let me see if I can find the stats again real quick. As DRS Swanson told me the other day, Senna has reached the 100 race milestone last week, and if Senna gets a win tonight, they will be on 1,000 points total scored in this league, which is an incredible achievement. I don't think I've ever scored 1,000 points in my league racing career, let alone in one league. As we see, Smug gets off the old hard tyres and onto some brand new soft tyres. It seems Meadows regained that DRS and is really quick through that little sweeper section. It's a bit slow getting onto the strip, but he's crucially within that DRS range, and it seems Frosty's kind of stuck in that awkward spot where out of DRS, but I don't know what happened with them. Again, if it was the AI doing some crazy things, I do apologise. I've proven that I can't do much about it apart from my own stupidity with letting it into the race. And now Meadows with some DRS right up to the back of Senna, but no move is made. Now I think the only way Frosty may still have a chance in this is if these two start battling. But I think they'd need to be battling into the sphere or something to really let that 3-second gap go down. As we are now within within 5 laps to go. It's been a pretty decent Las Vegas Grand Prix. It seems it's in the nature of the circuit to create some really action-packed races. As we see, Meadows makes the pass for the lead. Senna tucking it behind. See if he can get a little bit of slipstream. Maybe looks around the outside. What a move from Senna! And I believe there was no DRS involved in that from Senna. I didn't see if they had the flap open, but if they did, if they didn't have the DRS open, that was a really solid move. Now, just for a second, I'm going to look at Jax Daniels and Al Newton. Jax Daniels seems to have had the wing replaced since we last checked in with him. And having a little bit of a decent battle here with the Red Bull of Newt. I was trying to time my drink right in case there was a move, but seems like Jax Daniels stays ahead for the time being. Anyway, let's go back to the front because Meadows is still hunting down Senna. As Smug gets us the fastest lap of 33.14. Just have a quick look. Is anyone else doing those sorts of times? It seems like it's only the other soft tyre runner, which is Sainsy with a 33.8. I doubt these boys are going to trade a potential win for a fastest lap. As we see, Meadows takes the lead once again. All this battling seems to be letting Frosty slowly gain. They're going to need some serious battling to happen in the last couple laps here because here we go. We've got 3 laps to go now. Frosty's going to need these two to be absolutely, well, trading paint, you know. No, well, maybe, I don't know, because there's half a second gained and I don't know where from. It seems these two could be, well, I don't know, if there's a DRS train to Frosty, it might not help Frosty, but these two could be unintentionally helping Frosty here. And it could be crucial depending on how many track limits warnings these guys have. I've noticed they've been a bit... they've taken some interesting lines, and I've not racing this track for a while. I'm not sure where the track limits kind of stands. A bit of a slow exit from Senna onto the strip. Should just keep enough time in it to be in DRS, but look at the crucial gap to Frosty. It's now 1.2 behind Senna. As Senna is getting close, kind of fakes the move, fakes a look, but there's nothing coming of it. And I think it might be too little too late for Frosty to make anything of this battle. As I can hear the rain getting increasingly heavy outside of my window in real life. I don't know if it's coming through on the mic, but anyway, we're going to follow these guys on the final lap as Frosty has managed to get under the second behind Frosty now. Whether Frosty can get close enough to potentially get a win out of this, who knows. They do have the newer tyres, Frosty, but it's how much them tyres have left in them. As there's a move for 12th between Michael and Easy Life. I'd love to be watching those kind of midfield battles, but I just don't have the... with how close this lead battle is, I don't unfortunately have the capability. And it seems it might, yep, I think Frosty might be out of this now. Senna, excuse me, is about half a second behind as they come up to the DRS detection. And the activation line is just shortly after there. Senna right up behind the diffuser, well, kind of tucked in behind the Mercedes. There's no move into the corner there, into the end of the strip corner. And now he's only going to have one more lap to potentially take the win here in Vegas. As we come round this little final corner to start the final lap. It's still pretty close between the Mercedes and the Williams. This Senna has a bit of a slide as he comes through 2. That could be, yeah, that's probably ruined any opportunities into the turn 4 at the end of the straight, turn 5 even at the end of the straight here. He's going to have DRS to drag himself closer, but I don't think he's going to be able to make an opportunity of it. He's going to need some really good runs through the sphere section here to potentially make another, as Meadows kind of drifts his way into 8, and well, 7 and 8, into 9. Senna's staying within half a second for the time being. Ideally, if Senna's going to make a move into the kind of final chicane at the bottom of the strip, he's going to need to be within about half a second, I think, coming off of this corner here. Onto the strip for the final time, passing all those famous hotels and landmarks. I think Senna might be too far back to make a move unless it's an absolute Daniel Ricciardo style dive bomb. He's gaining, he's gaining. The time is going down rapidly. Meadows moves to the inside to defend. Comes back across. Senna looks around the outside. The wheel to wheel. There's a bit of contact. Senna goes round. Your championship leader's around into the final corner. Has he recovered it? I don't know. No, he's not. He's going to be finishing 3rd. Maybe even, could even be 4th if Jack Daniels gets a good enough exit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a drama. We've missed Meadows winning the race there. and Frosty coming second. Senna comes third, Jax Daniels fourth, Hughes comes home fifth. I'm going to see Blunt Blade soon. Decent effort from them to come sixth. And now we're going to look at Finley and Mr. Pickle. They're pretty close coming through the final sector here. Unfortunately, it looks like Mr. Pickle's just going to miss out there. King Kong dropped behind him with his time penalty. Let's look at this Kessler, Smugget and Michael very, very close to each other coming across the final sector here. Kessler looking up the inside into the final corner. They're side by side. It looks like Michael holds on by 9,000ths of a second. And finally, I'm going to go on board with Sainsy because they are the final finisher of the race. No retirements, which is pretty good for a street circuit. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I was not expecting the drama. As we see Stainsy slowed down a bit for the final corner. Is he going to give us a bit of a show? I think we're going to get a little bit of a reverse finish from Stainsy here, which is, well, something for you fans to enjoy. Oh, has he got it stuck? There we go, into the reverse. And the line should be there somewhere. There we go. That was it's very rare I'm absolutely breathless by the end of a race, but that finish kind of deserves me to be out of breath and wondering what was going on. Hey, we'll have a quick look through the results there. Meadows takes the win on track. Whether that will stand in the steward's room, who knows. Frosty in second. Senna just holds on to third. From Jax Daniels, Alan News fifth. Blunt Blade, Finley, Mr. Pickle, King Kong and Low Coleman round at the top 10. And as you can see, the rest of the finishers there. Smugget got the fastest lap with the soft tyres as well. Whew, that was very entertaining race, and to be fair, for a city like Las Vegas, it kind of deserved it. Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for watching tonight. Let me just remind you guys where we will be racing next time. We will be in China at Shanghai for a 100% race. That'll be next Monday, the 1st of December. Hopefully you can join us. And hopefully I shall have a hopefully I will have a co-commentator as well. Because a 100% race on my own, well, I've done it before. It's not nice. Anyway, I'll save you the Elvis impressions. Viva Las Vegas. And, well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And we shall hopefully see you next week in Shanghai. I need to find where my stream settings are. Once again, thank you and good night.